over on the mainstream of Classroom, I've got the main gist of our assignment today. So in this slide presentation, there are problems and directions to do this digital scavenger hunt. The answer sheet's on 37. You can use some other parts to complete them. You're not going to be turning the slide presentation in. There's nowhere to put your answers on this. So I'd still ask that when you go over, you make a copy, because if you accidentally press on something and it changes it, that wouldn't erase part of the file. I've also made a copy myself just in case. So what we're going to do, let me click on this. Let's get rolling here. So I do not need to worry about the directions at this point, even though I will say one thing with them. Let me go to slideshow so it's a little easier to see. So there are going to be 16 slides on this next page. It's almost going to look like a Jeopardy board. And so what we're always going to do is we're going to write the letter that appears in the top left slide, complete the problem, and then when you go back to the main screen, you'll find that answer, and that'll get you to the next problem with the next letter. And there's a flow to them. So, for instance, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so here's all the slides. They're tiny in this version. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to start in the upper left corner because that just seems like a reasonable place to go. So when I click on it, I notice the letter O is up there. So on page 37, where it says number 1 and has a blank, you would put the letter O, and I'm going to pop that up here in a minute too. But what we're going to do is we're going to figure out the work to this problem, put that in the box, and then kind of work from there. So we're going to have to kind of do a little back and forth here as we go. So Alex went to dinner with her family. The cost of the meal came to $38.40. If they leave a 15% tip, what will the total amount be they have to pay? So I'm still going to have to read carefully, because sometimes it may just say what's the tip going to be versus what's the total amount. So even though you can't see for the moment what I'm writing on my paper, you probably have a good idea, if you've been doing these, what I'm doing. We need to find 15% of $38.40. So you take that 15, you divide it by 100 if you weren't sure. You're going to get 0.15. And that amount that you got, you're going to add to the $38.40, in which Hardy's going to flip back for a moment. So you're like, okay, got your calculations in your head. Just saying. Once you've got your calculation, you think you've got the answer. If you click on the arrow to go back to the main slide, you should, hopefully, hints being given here, hopefully, you got 44.16, and what you would do is you'd click on that one. That one's letter is B, and what your paper would look like after this first problem in finding my answer would be this. You've got, there we go. You calculated your 15% for your tax. You added it to the $38.40. You got an answer. I need to see at least one step in every one of these boxes. If I'm just seeing answers in letters, I'm not doing credit for that, because that's just too easy of a way out with things, or we might have found somebody else that did it. So what I would do then, and I'll do a couple more just to kind of make sure we've got the flow down here, is that, okay, so B is next. So let me come back. Oh, I had it up. Well, I'll pop it up again. That's just one of the things I'm going to go back and forth. So we're at the 44.16 one. So here we go again. So Angela, 20% off the entire store, bought a sweater that's normally $32. What will she pay for the sweater during the sale? Now, I will tell you this. Not every one of these problems is going to be as straightforward as these first two. That's what I'm going to be here for anyway. So this time it's a discount. So make sure that you're subtracting. And hopefully, when you get the answer, which is the nice thing about this, because you're always going to know right away if your math was right or not. Because I got my answer here. If I'm back to the main, let's see. Hopefully, 2560 is where we ended up next. So that would be, there we go. That's what I was waiting for. All right. So I got 2560, which is M. So one more I'm going to walk through, and then I think we'll have you on the right track here. So Jeremy got himself a new pair of jeans. They regularly cost $30, but they're on sale for 10% off. There's 6% sales tax on the purchase. How much will he pay altogether? This is what we were talking about before that we had over on the board, and I'm going to put it up on the video here in a minute as well. You have to go by the right order here. So if there's a discount, a sale, that's going to come first. So your first job would be to figure out to get that 10% off of 30. Once you have that, now you're going to put the sales tax onto it, which again, turn your percentage into a decimal by dividing it by 100. And I have no idea what that is that I'm hearing, but I'll come find it in a minute. Takes me back to my kiddo days. All right, let's see if I can find the right answer here, and then I'll show you mine. Oh, I found it. To me, I think it's I here. It's 2862, but let's flash up the Hardy solution here to things. Maybe. Come on, there we go. So 10% off is $3. I took that off. I found the 6% of 27. Add that back on because tax, we have to pay that and get my answer. And I keep rolling. And what will happen is when you get to the very end, when you finish off question 16, it should take you back to slide with 0 in the end if things have worked correctly. So if you run into a problem with things, and I'll also put this back up. I'm probably going to freeze this on there that way. Just reminding you of the parts and things. The other thing I will mention as I kind of wrap this portion of it up is that there is a chain discount question on here. You don't have to do the chain discount, multiplying them together and subtracting from 100. You don't have to do that. You could do them separately and be like, okay, here's the first discount, got my number. Take the next discount off of it, do my number if that makes more sense to you. That's fine. But if you get stuck, let me know. If you still have, corrections from the last quiz or the practice to turn in, because again, progress reports are coming out Tuesday. I have to have them bubbled by then and turned in. So if you're missing stuff, you're missing a quiz, you're missing a practice or anything else, check Skyward. As long as I have that stuff Tuesday before I walk out the door, I will have it in and make sure that it's included with your grade. Other than that,